Hello, welcome to my video. This is a kuroken storyline that takes place in the canon haikyuu time skip, so there are very slight spoilers. There are topics surrounding homophobia and conflict with religion. Moreover, there is a sexually mature scene, and though it's nothing extremely explicit, there is a timestamp you may use to skip it in case you are uncomfortable. This story covers mature and touchy content throughout, viewer discretion is advised. As always, I do hope you enjoy. Now on to the video.
In which a friend Kenma should have left behind re-enters his life. It was a cool Tuesday evening. The air had a stillness about it, and the steady chirping of insects compelled time to slow down. Hazy lighting oozed from street lamps and poured into the quiet streets, lengthening the shadows of trees, mailboxes, lampposts, and the occasional stray cat. Some time ago, Kenma found himself much like a stray cat, wandering about the streets searching for some sustenance that he couldn't muster within himself. These days, his evenings were often occupied with gaming, filming, editing, or church. Tonight, however, he found himself standing in front of a mirror as he fumbled helplessly with the buttons of his burgundy dress shirt. Who made buttoning so difficult? After a few minutes of annoyance, Kenma managed to button his shirt, shove the shirt into his black slacks, and swing his belt about his waist. Once he slipped on his nicest shoes, which were a pair of sneakers, but he knew no one would say anything about that. He looked himself up and down in the mirror. Objectively, he did look handsome. He'd actually cleaned himself up quite nicely for the event. Even if he hadn't, no one would pay him any mind. So why was he standing there in front of the mirror, running a hand through his hair one too many times, dusting off his shirt, and readjusting his belt? Deep down, he must have known why, though he refused to admit it to himself. Kenma glanced at himself in the mirror one last time, taking a deep breath before leaving his bedroom and sprinting to the elevator. Once in front of the entrance to his apartment building, he was met with the sight of a blue roomie and a familiar face through the rolled-down car window. Kenma. What took you so long? I told you to be ready by 6:30. Kenma glanced at his watch as he walked towards the car. It's 6:37. Still past 6:30. Now get in the car. Kenma grimaced. In that car? Yamamoto looked around his car for a second before turning back to Kenma with a frown. Yeah? What's wrong with it? Tora, it looks like a box. It's cute. What happened to your other car? Yamamoto sighed. I needed to get service done on it, so my mom lent me hers. We'll have to rely on good old Mika tonight. ... The car has a name? Well, yeah. Since I'll be with her for a couple of days, I thought I might as well have something to address her by. Kenma's face scrunched up more. Park that car, we're going in mine. Yamamoto's eyes lit up. Ooh, are we now? Have someone to impress? When Kenma only gave Yamamoto a deadpan expression, Yamamoto cleared his throat. Can I drive the Acura? Please? Kenma shrugged with indifference, and Yamamoto grinned. A few minutes later, the two were cruising down the dim, empty streets. Save for Yamamoto's cheery whistling, the ride was noiseless, and Kenma took to watching the dark trees blur through the window. Eventually, though, Yamamoto broke the silence. So, you excited to see everyone again? Kenma turned from the window to look at Yamamoto. I guess, it's not like we don't hang out often enough. I know, but I miss all of us being together sometimes. You? Kenma's eyes flitted down to his lap where his fingers lay tugging at one another. Sure, he'd missed the team sometimes. There were times his mind would wander down memory lane and he'd get lost in his nostalgia and wistfulness. There was one thing he missed the most, though. The one thing he never thought he'd have to miss. Kenma huffed before replying. Yeah, I do. Yamamoto snorted. Geez, why'd you say it like that? It wouldn't kill you to admit you love us. Who said anything about loving you guys? I inferred it. Anyhow, I'm glad at least some of us are able to make it tonight. Say, do you know if Kuroo-san is gonna make it? Kenma's heart skipped a beat. I don't know. Really? He hasn't mentioned anything to you? Kuroo and I don't talk anymore. What? You guys were inseparable. What happened? Kenma sighed. Well, something happened, but I guess a lot of it was growing up and growing apart. Yamamoto gave a low whistle. I guess that's fair. Kuroo-san busy climbing up the ranks in his career, you with all the stuff that you're somehow juggling. It's happened to all of us, really. But, I gotta say, never thought it'd happen to you too. Well, that's what this reunion is for, right? Reminiscing and reconnecting. Kenma passed Yamamoto's words over in his head. He had decided a long while ago that reminiscing his past with Kuroo was a road better left uncharted. Some memories were safer locked away in a place where they could do no harm. Reconnecting with him was out of the question for a similar reason. In the end, they were sure to only hurt and fall apart just as they had before. But, since he stopped speaking with Kuroo, it's arguable that Kenma had never really stopped falling apart anyway. 40 minutes later, Kenma was standing in front of a set of familiar closed gym doors with a glittering red banner reading Happy 10-Year Reunion Class of 2013. In bold, black lettering above it. Chatter, music, and laughter seeped out from behind the doors and into Kenma's ears from where he stood. Who? Kenma looked to his side, seeing Yamamoto smoothing out his shirt while rolling his shoulders back in excitement. Okay, ready to go inside? It looks like I should be asking you that. Yamamoto chuckled. He then reached out and wrapped his hand around the handle of one of the Nekoma gymnasium doors, giving it a tug and opening it wide. The sounds that Kenma had heard beyond the closed doors increased fivefold. The gymnasium was filled with red streamers, glossy ruby and black balloons, tables with entrees and desserts, and people. Kenma's former classmates, most of whom he'd hardly paid attention to. A sea of faces that, though familiar, didn't exactly feel like home. Yet, now, with Yamamoto's beckoning, he swam among this ocean of his past peers. He was greeted with more zeal and respect than his less prominent high school self could ever imagine, and he began to grow exponentially tired of it after the 14th Kodzukan illusion. Kenma forced himself into small talk with people he had barely known. The standard questions of what have you been up to, are you seeing anyone, and remember when? Continuously floated around his head, leaving him dizzy and sick of this. He started to space out of conversations and avoid the intrigued looks he was getting altogether, thinking of all the things he had to attend to, getting around to filming himself playing that game from the company he was sponsored by, preparing for that meeting he had with several Bouncing Ball Corporation partners, editing the video he filmed yesterday, helping with redecorating the youth ministry service rooms, calling caterers for the church Easter event next month, ensuring that he had updated the church website. And at the back of his head, he began to wonder why he had come to this reunion in the first place. What had he hoped to accomplish? What did he think he'd see? Who did he think he'd see? Then, finally, a warm, familiar voice called out to him. Kenma. Kenma turned away from the dessert table. He hadn't even realized he ended up there, and towards his senior. Kai stood only a few feet away, waving at Kenma with a bright smile alongside Fukunaga, Inuoka, and Yamamoto. Kenma returned the friendliness with a soft smile and strode over to them, raising his hand up as a greeting. Hey guys. Kenma-san. We've been looking for you. Hey. There you are. Nice of you to finally make an appearance and greet the party crashers. Is he talking about us? Most definitely. Why? Well, neither of you were part of the class of 2013. Guilty as charged. That goes for about a third of the people here, honestly. I knew there weren't this many people in our class. Yamamoto struggled to stifle his laughter as he took in the state of Kenma. You good, bro? I left you to mix and mingle for like half an hour and you look like you've aged a century. PFFT. Kenma sighed and let his shoulders droop in a slouch. It's only been half an hour? Gosh. Kai laughed good-naturedly. This really isn't your scene, huh? Not in the least. How'd Tora even convince you to come? I wanted to see people. Well, you guys. Kai smiled while Inuoka let out an and Fukunaga hummed. ... I do like my friends, you know. We know. It's nice to see you guys, even if it's not everyone. Yeah. To be fair, they planned this thing kinda last minute. Maybe more of us will be able to come next year for my class's reunion? Maybe. Do you guys know if Kuroo-san is coming? I asked him, and he said he'd try to make it. That was yesterday though, and I haven't talked to him since. Or, I hope he can. Guess we'll just have to wait and see. Fukunaga, about your quiche recipe. And with that, the topic of Kuroo was whisked away like a fresh leaf in the spring breeze. In all minds but Kenma's, that is. Though no one could see, he stood with his heart in his hands, not really being able to listen to the conversation about Fukunaga's quiche or pie or whatever they were discussing. How could he hear them over the drumming of the heart pulsing around his very fingertips, beating faster by the second as one name repeated in his mind? Kuroo. And then he was being pulled back to reality with a shake of his shoulders. Kenma? Hello, anybody home? I'm listening now. Sorry, just stop shaking me like America. Yamamoto halted and dropped his hands. Nice to have you back on ground zero. Kenma looked around and noticed that the others were gone. Hey, where'd they go? Well, you really were out of it. They went to go talk to some other people. I'm gonna go join them. You're welcome to. Absolutely not. Yamamoto snorted with a nod. Thought so. I'll find you at the desserts table if I need you then. Will do. After a short wave, Kenma headed straight to the corner of the gym dedicated to the desserts. What he had hoped to find were some brownies or those red velvet cookies the size of his hand. What he did find, however, really did make time stop. Or, at least it felt that way. Everything in motion took pause save for the sway of that peculiar spiky mess of black hair that Kenma once considered a sign of home. Fingers ghosted around Kenma's heart as his eyes drifted lower, drinking in the silky suit, much of the same color as the hair, fitted on a tall, muscular frame of a man. The neat tie around his neck was burgundy, matching the color of the watch on his wrist. Kenma had gotten him that watch. The glimmer on his ring finger is new, though. The fingers are clenched around Kenma's heart now. Kenma's frozen in place, just staring. And, by the will of the god that Kenma prays to so often, it seems, the man feels Kenma's gaze and turns his head just enough for his hazel eyes to meet Kenma's golden ones. And now he's walking up to Kenma. Oh god. Kenma's both drawn and repulsed, excited yet afraid, part of him wanting to turn around and pretend he never saw this guy, another part of him wanting to bound up to him and just forget about the past, but he doesn't know if he can or should because. Kenma gulped long and hard, peering into the hazel that's much closer than it just was a few moments ago. Kuroo offers a smile. You still remember my name? Well, I'm sure it'd be hard not to. My parents picked out a good one. Kenma sighed quietly and smiled back. It's still Kuroo. Sly, good for nothing Kuroo. Sweet, lovable, wants everyone to feel welcomed Kuroo. Hush. Hair. So, long time no see. Yeah. I'm surprised you came. Really? I should be saying that to you. Tora kept whining in my ear about coming, and I wanted to see the team, so. Ah. Well, my meeting for work ended earlier than expected, so I was able to come. Kuroo rolled his eyes. Though I haven't been able to see anyone from the team because 𝘬𝘦-chan has been dragging me around. 𝘬𝘬-chan? From the girls' volleyball team back then? Yeah. Kenma felt a pang in his gut. Oh. You came with her? Yeah, but not as a date or anything, if that's what you're thinking with that funny look on your face. What funny look? A look so weird I can't even recreate it. You. Kuroo chuckled, and Kenma felt himself relax. 𝘬𝘬-chan is the one that told me about the reunion 2 weeks ago, and she asked if I'd come along with her, but I'm thinking she wanted me here with her more as a wingman than a friend. What makes you say that? Well. Kuroo scratched the back of his head. She actually left me stranded here about half an hour ago. To hook up with someone. I mean you go girl, get laid, but. Kuroo rubbed a hand over his face in exasperation. She was my ride here. What? And I'm guessing she didn't even bother to tell you before she left. Kuroo laughed humorlessly. Yeah. Why would she even? I don't know. I'd get an Uber, but I live an hour away from here so I don't even want to think about the cost. And even if I get a ride to the nearest train station, they'll have stopped operating by then. So I've actually been trying to find someone I know that lives along my way to see if they can drop me home because I can drop you home. Kuroo stopped and blinked at Kenma. You'll drop me home? Don't you live almost the same distance away in the opposite direction? Well, if you live in the same place. I moved, my new place isn't as out of the way. It's fine, you need to get home. You probably have a meeting at 7 AM or something. How'd you know? Stalking me? HMPH. I did come with Tora, though, so let me call him first to see if he can catch a ride with Kai-san or Fuku. Oh, I should at least say hi before we go. Do you know where they are? Kenma frowned. They could be anywhere, really. There's so many people. Oh, hey, guess you're right, let's just head out after you call Tora. Despite Kuroo's words, Kenma could see a tinge of disappointment in his eyes. And, Kenma supposed, Kuroo had seen the discomfort in his own eyes and how badly he just wanted to leave this reunion. So, like he always had, Kuroo put Kenma's wants above his own. And, like he always had, it seemed like Kenma was holding Kuroo back. Kenma, you've got another funny look. Oh, just thinking. Let's get out of here. The city is so pretty at night. Kenma glanced at Kuroo from the driver's seat, his hands steady on the wheel as he looked at the peaceful smile on Kuroo's face. Indeed, the city lights of the Tokyo buildings were like colorful fireflies rising into the cool night. You've always said that. I'm surprised you don't live where all the commotion is since you like it this much. And it's closer to your job, right? Well, prettiness comes with a hefty price. You're right about that. You know, I've been meaning to say. You look real nice tonight. Kenma cleared his throat sharply, taken aback by the unexpected compliment. Oh, thanks. You're welcome. Did mom get you those clothes? Kenma smiled internally at the fact that Kuroo still referred to his mother that way. How'd you figure? I remember her getting me something similar for my birthday a couple years back. How is she? Kicking it like she always has? Still working at that law firm? I know she didn't like it there much. She's pretty good. She quit her job at the firm to work at the church full-time last year though. Why am I not surprised? She loves that place more than life. I remember I used to say that about you until I went to service with you that one time and saw her in action. MHM. You do too, by the way. Huh? You also look nice. I know I do. I've forgotten that you're a narcissist. Hey. Knowing you're hot does not make you a narcissist. Yeah, so hot that the girl you came to the reunion with ditched you to hook up with some other guy. Kuroo dramatically clutched his chest. We both know it wasn't as a date, but that was still a punch to the gut. How could you, Kenma? And it was just like back then when the two would throw playful jabs at each other, only them knowing it was nothing serious. Just jokes between friends. The nostalgia made Kenma's heart ache. Their banter carried them the rest of the way to Kuroo's house. Though Kenma had pulled up into Kuroo's driveway, Kuroo didn't make any motions to get out of the car. Kenma and Kuroo just sat quietly next to one another with only the purr of the engine between them. When he couldn't take the silence anymore, Kenma cleared his throat. So. Kuroo turned from the window to look at Kenma. So. You gonna get out of my car, or stay here the night? Kuroo forced a laugh. Yeah, I'm leaving. Wait. Just as Kuroo opened the car door, Kenma reached out to grab his shoulder. I was kidding. Well, I don't want you sleeping in my car for the night. But, was there anything you wanted to say or something? Kuroo's eyes drifted away from Kenma for a second. Yeah. I'm thinking. 2 years is a long time. I'm not saying I want what we had back then, but maybe it'd be nice having you as a friend again. So, can we catch up? Get coffee sometime or something? My treat. You can consider it as me repaying you for graciously dropping me home. Kenma's heart skipped a beat. Catching up? With Kuroo? The possible renewal of their relationship was something he could have only fantasized about. But, now that it was right in front of him, he wasn't sure if he really wanted it, if it was any good for him, You can say no if you want. Really, it's cool. Kenma swallowed down his negative feelings. Whether it was right or wrong, he knew what he wanted. That'd be nice. When? Kuroo's eyes went wide. Oh. We can do tomorrow, if you'd like. Sure, what time? I go on break at 9:30, so we can meet at 10 if that's not too early. That sounds good to me. I've got a place in mind. I'll text you about it later. I'll be waiting for the message. Same number? Same number. Cool. Cool. ... Kuroo shook his head. We're being so weird about this. Alright, Kenma, good night. And thanks again for dropping me home. No need to say thank you. Ah, you're too kind. Well. Kuroo turned and opened the car door, giving Kenma a grin over his shoulder. Night. Good night. Kuroo fully stepped out of the car and waved from his driveway as Kenma pulled out and drove away into the night. After getting home, eating, and showering, Kenma was lying on his back in bed. He stretched an arm up to the darkness, as though he were pulling strings of memories from the night in the air. He had met Kuroo again. After 2 long years of an impossibly large distance between them, he had met Kuroo again. And he had agreed to meet with him for coffee, even. At 10 a.m. of all hours, as if Kenma wasn't rolling out of bed with dried spit on his cheek around noon most days. He was meeting with Kuroo after 2 long years as though nothing had ever happened. He'd yet to bask in his recollection of his history with Kuroo for fear of the hurt he would remember. Maybe that's why it was so easy for him to agree to meet up. Perhaps that's why there was novel, premature longing brewing in Kenma's chest for Kuroo. The one he let go. Or should have, anyway. It felt wrong, it felt stupid, he wanted to forget their decades of companionship. Kenma's whirlwind of thoughts was interrupted by the dinging of his phone. He picked it up, squinting at the bright light screen as he tried to read the messages. One was an older message sent by Yamamoto saying he got home okay, and the rest were from a contact he hadn't seen pop up in a long while. Messages with Kuroo. Tuesday. 11:42 p.m. Hey Kenma. Whoa, so weird texting this number after so long, haha. Iniho was thinking we could go to Cafe 𝘬𝘕𝘴𝘴. I'm assuming you've at least heard about it since it's pretty hyped, but have you been there? I live really close by and have gone there a lot actually. It's my favorite cafe, though, so we should go. Okay, cool. I should have gone to bed a while ago to get my necessary 8 hours of beauty sleep, so I'll be going now. Okay Gramps. Hey. PFFT. Night. See you tomorrow. Good night. Kenma sighed and placed his phone on his bedside table. He'd lied to Yamamoto earlier. The end of what he had with Kuroo had absolutely nothing to do with growing up and apart. He wished that's all it was, but that wasn't true. He'd lied to Yamamoto, he'd lied to a part of himself. Kenma clasped his hands together and closed his eyes as he did the only thing he knew how at this moment. Pray. Father God. I'm so sorry. I failed to choose well. Time and time again today. I praise you and beg you for your unending mercy. Please dear God, please. I want to be like Christ. Calm, honest, wise. In Jesus' name I pray, Amen. He dropped his hands and sighed, falling into slumber with his mood not much better than before. Mom? A 12-year-old Kenma held out his mango in front of him towards his mother sitting on the living room couch. One of the boys is kissing another boy in this story. I'm confused. Can boys do that? I thought boys could only kiss girls. Kenma's mother flushed as she looked at the pages Kenma had the mango open to and snatched it from his hands. Kenma, where did you get this? Actually it doesn't matter, just. Kenma's mother ran a hand through her hair and sighed. Sit next to me honey. Kenma did as he was told and sat next to his mother, looking at her inquisitively as he waited for her to speak. Mom? Sorry, just thinking of how to explain this. Listen Kenma. This. Kenma's mother points to the manga. Is wrong. Boys can't kiss boys and girls can't kiss girls. This kind of behavior is called homosexuality, and it violates God's design. A man is meant to be with a woman for a reason. So, it's a sin? Yes exactly Kenma, it is a sin. Do people like that go to hell? Well, they don't have to, because God is very loving and forgiving. Like the rest of us, they just need to repent for their sins and change their lifestyle. God wouldn't want us to hold hatred towards people like this. Most of them are rejected and abused in some way, and all of them are very confused. You know how the Bible tells us to love people? Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Kenma's mother smiled and patted the top of Kenma's head. That's my boy. But do not be mistaken. We must love and accept them, but we do not need to agree with them. Does that make sense? Kenma nodded. I'm glad. Have you read your Bible passages today? Kenma shook his head. You go do that, then we can have lunch, okay? Okay. Kenma's mother gave his arm a squeeze before letting him hop off the couch and go back to his room without the manga. The art of the two boys kissing, drawn so innocently and intricately, kept flashing in his mind. Though his mother said it was wrong because God said it was wrong, he couldn't help but feel attracted to the image, and it made him feel guilty. But, as long as he reminded himself that it was wrong, he, too, could be forgiven. Hey Kenma, sorry I'm late. Kenma looked up from his phone. He was sitting at a small corner table in the cozy cafe, watching Kuroo walk towards him with a smile and a wave. Oh, there you are. Good morning. Once he reached the table, Kuroo pulled out a chair and plopped onto it with a huff. Morning. And, sorry, the meeting lasted longer than expected, then they needed me someplace else. It's really not a big deal. Kuroo sighed and adjusted his tie. If you say. Kuroo's words were cut off by his yawn. Tired? Am I? Gosh I need this coffee. He narrowed his eyes at Kenma. You haven't ordered yet, right? No. Good. I'll go up to the front and order for us. What do you want? An iced mocha and a croque monsieur. Alright, be right back. After Kuroo stood up and walked away, Kenma had a clear view of the table in front of them. Kenma hadn't taken any notice before. Two guys were sitting at the table, having arranged their chairs so that they were seated as close to one another as possible. They had their fingers entwined as they talked and smiled at one another between eating. Kenma's heart started racing, and he could feel his bottom lip quivering. He hated the sight. He found it uncomfortable. Yet he couldn't stop staring, which only made it seem worse. Then, Kuroo's reappearance blocked Kenma's view of the couple. I'm back. Kuroo sat down and put down the tray he was holding, passing Kenma his drink and toast before picking up his own steaming mug. Ah, just what I needed. As Kuroo raised the mug to his lips, Kenma saw the same golden band on his ring finger that he had seen the night before. He really couldn't help what came out of his mouth next. Are you married? Or going to be? Kuroo sputtered and choked on his coffee, some of it spurting out of his nose as he began to cough. And Kenma jumped up and quickly grabbed some napkins off the table, walking around to Kuroo to try to dry his face and his suit. After about a minute, Kuroo was no longer hacking and could breathe again. So could Kenma apparently, as he released the breath he didn't realize was being held. Sorry. Kuroo snorted before bursting out into hyena-like laughter. What are you laughing about? Hey, calm down before you start coughing again. Soon, Kuroo's laughter too subsided, and he wiped an imaginary tear from his eye. Oh man, what a scene. I'm glad the cafe is uncharacteristically empty today. And where'd you get the idea that I'm getting married from? Oh, I dunno, the ring on your finger? Kuroo glanced at his hand for a second before the look of realization crossed his face. Oh. Well, Kenma, I am not married, nor am I getting married. Though the little lady who gave me this ring would be hurt if she heard that. Huh? Kuroo smiled. You remember 𝘧𝘬𝘦? My niece? When I visited my sister's house the other day, she gave me this and made me promise we'd marry once she was big enough. Kenma all but melted in the seat. He wished he did really. He felt silly. Oh. Hey, I'm as single as ever. What about you though? Special someone? Someone caught your eye? No, not since. Kenma knew Kuroo didn't need him to finish the sentence to understand what he was referring to. Oh, well. Kuroo cleared his throat and sipped on his coffee. How's your sister though? And her family? They're all doing great. She's got baby number 3 coming in a couple of months. Oh, well, congrats to her. I'll pass on the message. And Lala. Kenma smiled at the thought of Kuroo's sister's sweet, over-friendly 𝘠𝘬𝘪. Yeah? She passed away last month. Kenma frowned. Oh. My condolences. She's been with your sister since she was a pup, right? Yeah. She lived a long, good life. She'll be missed all the same though. I loved that dog. Same here. Do you think it's true that all dogs go to heaven? I do. Kuroo smiled. Then I'm hoping she's in a better place now. I've been thinking about getting a dog actually. Really? That sounds nice. I might get a cat when I'm ready. I could revamp the second room in my apartment as a playroom. Where do you live now? Roppongi Hills. Kuroo grinned. You finally gave in and made the move there? Yeah. Do you like it? ... Yeah. You hated admitting it, didn't you? Kenma bit into his croque monsieur aggressively and spoke around the toast. Shush. PFFT. Congrats on 15 million subscribers on YouTube by the way, that's a crazy accomplishment. Oh, thanks. I tuned in for your celebration stream. You watch my streams? Kuroo gave Kenma a sly smile and his coffee a long sip. Occasionally. I only knew about it though because Hinata wouldn't shut up about it on Twitter. Hinata. That stream was intolerable. Oh come on, your fans love him. Which was the only thing that kept me from murdering him. Weren't you there when we played Never Have I Ever? I love the guy but he's idiotic. Yes. The point of Never Have I Ever is to say something you've never done. He kept saying Never Have I Ever for things he did and was like hoops. Every time and lost every round because of it. It was hilarious. Don't even get me started on the baking. It was more like a bonfire. It really was. First off, 𝘕𝘠𝘠 forgot to add the apples before leaving the crust in the oven even though we were baking apple pie. Then, by the time he realized and went back to the kitchen, there was a fire. You did have some amount of fun though, right? I did. Like I said, I love the guy, even though he's idiotic. But there's nothing fun about the fact that I'm probably on one of the firefighters hit list. Haha. Your next video title. Running away from a hitman while playing Suicide Squad. Perfect. Anything big going on in your life? Well, I got a promotion recently. Oh, congrats. Thank you. It's a funny story of how I got it actually. The two continued to talk non-stop, only pausing to give attention to their food before looking right back at each other. All up until Kuroo's phone began to vibrate from its place on the table. Kuroo picked up his phone and sighed when he looked at the screen. Sorry, it's from work. I've got to take this. Be right back. He begrudgingly stood up and walked towards the front door. He left Kenma to stare at the couple again. That couple that was still here for whatever godforsaken reason. They had moved on from their previous activity, Kenma had observed, and were now reading from what appeared to be a literary magazine. One man had his head rested on the shoulder of the other, his arms wrapped around his waist. It was insanely cute and affectionate and Kenma thought he might throw up the food that Kuroo had bought for him if he had to look any longer. Hey, Kenma. Kenma jumped in his seat a bit at the suddenness of Kuroo's voice. He looked beside him to see Kuroo standing there looking a bit upset and apologetic. They need me back at work, so I'm gonna have to cut our meet short. Oh, okay. We can meet up again? For lunch this time? My treat, let's consider it a celebration of your promotion. Kuroo smiled. I'd like that. I've been working a lot lately and we just finished up a big project, so I'm working a half day tomorrow. I'm good for any time past 1. Let's meet at 2? Sure. Since it's for you, you can tell me where you wanna go. Okay, cool. Cool. Well. Kuroo balled his hand into a fist and brought it close to Kenma. Kenma stared at Kuroo's hand for a moment before looking up at Kuroo. Are you going to punch me, or what? No, a fist pump. Oh. A fist pump. So weird and unlike what they used to do to greet each other or say goodbyes. It was usually rough hugs or arms squeezing someone's shoulders, always initiated by Kuroo, or claps on the back, initiation equally distributed between Kuroo and Kenma. Kenma raised his fist and gently bumped it against Kuroo's in the saddest fist pump known to man. Kuroo must have thought so, too, as he giggled in embarrassment and adjusted his watch. Well, I'll be going now. See you tomorrow, Kenma. Bye, Kuroo. And when Kuroo left, Kenma's eyes were right back on that couple. He flinched when he saw both of them lean in for a kiss. It made Kenma sick. That evening, Kenma was sitting on his couch with Yamamoto next to him, playing some excessively violent game on his PlayStation while chatting. Sounds like you and Kuroo-san caught up a lot. Wish I had the chance to see him yesterday, but someone decided to drag him. Damn it, Kenma, I won't let you get away with that hit. Focus on the game more then. And, yeah, guess we did. We're going out for lunch tomorrow. He suggested it. I did actually. Whoa, what? So, are you guys friends again? No, we're just trying to. Kenma shook when his game controller vibrated violently with the critical hit he got from Yamamoto's character. What the hell? Focus on the game more. Kenma could hear the smirk in his voice. Shut up. Anyway, I don't even know if we can be friends anymore after not talking for 2 years. And things ended pretty roughly. Well, sometimes relationships just need breaks, no matter how long. That was true for some of my friendships, my relationship with my girlfriend, and even my relationship with my dad. All those relationships were stronger than ever after the break they each needed. So don't sweat the time you haven't been talking. Just think about the time you have to talk now. That's actually good advice. Thanks, Tora. No problem. Damn it. I win. Again. Stop sounding so cocky. I'm gonna go get some water and raid your pantry. Kenma smiled to himself as Yamamoto stood up and shuffled away from the couch. Just then, Kenma's phone began to ring beside him. He looked at the caller ID and pressed the answer button before bringing the phone to his ear. Hey, Mom. Hi Kenma dear. How are you? I'm doing alright. You? Doing swell. Firstly, I want to say that the church website is looking excellent. Oh, it's nothing really. Humble as ever. We've got some promo sizzle reels and flyers that need to be made for upcoming events. You'll be able to handle that for us, right? Yup. Great. Also, you do plan on coming to church tomorrow evening, correct? We really need extra help in the youth ministry. Of course. I might be a bit late though. I told Pastor 𝘗𝘿cie I'd help pick up the food we ordered for the midnight baptism event. That'll be fine. Okay, I'll let you go for the evening. See you tomorrow, Mom. Bye honey, love you. Love you too. Kenma ended the call and sighed. Boy do you look miserable. Kenma jumped, not realizing Yamamoto was back next to him, a bottle of water and a bag of chips in tow. Christ Tora, you almost gave me a heart attack. Almost doesn't count. Anyway, what did your mom call about? Church stuff again? There's always so much to be done. For someone that goes to church so much, I thought you'd like it more. What do you mean? You sounded so monotone on the phone with your mom just now. And whenever anyone brings up the topic of church with you, you try your best to switch the subject quickly. What? I don't, really. Kenma began to regurgitate what his mother had always told him. Doing tasks for the church can feel like a job sometimes, but devotion is all about work. I'm using my gifts in hopes of strengthening a community made to better the lives of all people. Kenma wasn't sure if he was trying to convince Yamamoto or himself. Kenma's involvement in church and his relationship with God rid him of the remnants of his immorality and granted him salvation. But there were nights where his sinful thoughts caught him in a chokehold, and he would fall down the abyss of human air. The thoughts were always the same. Yes, he knew he was meant to be with a woman, that's how God designed it. Yes, he was attracted to women, romantically and sexually. But he'd always felt a similar amount of attraction towards men. Color it confusion, color it as rebelliousness, color it as whatever one wanted. He had felt this way for far too long to believe it was the enemy at work. Unless Satan had been nestled in his heart since birth, what would be the other explanation? Was there a mistake? Or did the God that Kenma mostly believed in intentionally make Kenma this way? Led him to like men, led him to want men, led him to be with. On nights where his thoughts were lustful and his sexual insecurity especially high, he found himself doing more than just thinking. Tonight was one of those nights. He was sitting on his bed, back against the headrest as he scrolled on his phone through an adult website. He was under a private tab with his VPN turned on, as if anyone would really care to find out what he was doing. Deep down, he knew he couldn't hide, especially from himself, but he tried to anyway. Eventually, he saw a thumbnail and title that piqued his interest. Hot blonde boy gets dicked down hard by muscular daddy. With hesitance, he clicked the video, then the play button. As the video began, he slowly slipped his hand into his pants and around himself as he immersed himself in the sinful show the stars were putting on. As the actions on screen progressed, so did Kenma's stroking, all the while his teachings gnawed at the back of his head. Abstain from the passions of the flesh. Sexual immorality must not even be named among believers. The sexually impure will have no part in the kingdom of God. Despite the word circling his mind, he feels a tingly heat cooling in his stomach. And, as the video nears its end, Kenma's coming all over his hand in his pants like he's 13 again, too embarrassed to even see his own sacrilege. Once his breathing evens out, his temporal sexual relief is readily replaced by guilt. So much guilt. He sighs shakily, removing his hand from his pants and looking over his cum-slicked fingers. He doesn't even bother praying for forgiveness for giving into temptation. He doesn't even bother praying for forgiveness for thinking of men the same as he did women. He knows he'll go back to it. He always has. And so, with indescribable turmoil raging within him, he simply closes the tab and gets up to take a shower before bed. Kuroo. Kenma and Kuroo are sitting on Kenma's bed side by side playing a video game Kuroo had wanted to try out for a while. Can we? He fumbles with his words. Can you turn up the lights? Kuroo gives Kenma a concerned look. Okay. Pause the game though, will you? Kenma pauses the game while Kuroo gets up to pull a string attached to Kenma's fan twice to make the lighting brighter. Kenma notices how it makes his new 10 million subscriber YouTube play button gleam. Better babe? Yeah, thanks. Kuroo sits back next to Kenma, but neither of them unpauses the game. I know that you're annoyed with how many times I've said it, but you should look at some places in Roppongi Hills. When's your lease up again? I think 7 months. Are you planning to renew it, or find a new place? Because, well, I was thinking we could move in together. We basically already live at each other's houses. Oh, that's... Kenma sniffs and looks down at his lap. Okay, you're acting weird. And you've been acting like that for a couple days now. What is it? Kuroo places a hand on Kenma's thigh, and Kenma quickly slaps it away. Kenma. Kenma looks up and looks right at Kuroo, though his vision is blurry with the tears in his eyes. We need to talk. Kuroo goes rigid for a moment, but quickly shakes himself out of his stupor. He reaches out with one tentative hand, then cups Kenma's cheek. Talk to me. Kenma instinctively leans into the touch. Kenma looks down as he chokes on the sob threatening to rip out of his throat. Take your time, Kenma, take your time. Breathe with me, okay? Kuroo takes in a deep breath, and Kenma follows his lead. They hold their breaths together for a few seconds before exhaling slowly, repeating the process a couple more times as Kenma calmed down. Ready to talk? Kenma hums in assent and gently nudges Kuroo's hand from his face. He took another deep breath before looking at Kuroo again, seeing nothing but pure love and patience in his eyes. He begins to tear up again. Kuroo. Are we wrong? Kuroo furrowed his eyebrows. What? Like? Kenma gestured between them. Us. This. All of this. You mean, our relationship? Kenma only looked away, giving Kuroo the answer he needed. What the hell? Kuroo grabbed Kenma's chin and forced his head towards him. Kenma, we've been together for nearly 3 years now. Where's this coming from? Kento. My younger cousin. He came out as gay to my aunt. My entire family is very religious. You know how they responded? They sent him off to a Christian boarding school in the United States. I only found out about this yesterday, and apparently he's been there for over half a year. You know who suggested it? Tears threatened to spill from their place at the edges of Kenma's eyelids. My mother. She told auntie it was best to love him afar, that he's learned of God all his life, and if he didn't know that being gay was wrong by now, maybe somebody else could teach him. He's only 16, Kuroo, he's only 16. I'm sorry about your cousin Kenma. How they handled your cousin coming out, well, I think that's terrible. You're wrong. Kenma shouted the words, making Kuroo flinch. What if it's not terrible? What if they're right? Since yesterday I've been thinking. Almost 3 years of us sneaking around with our relationship. We barely go on dates. We don't hold hands or kiss or any of that in public. Hell, none of our family or friends even know we're dating, Kuroo. And, I don't tell you this, but so much of the time, I just feel guilty. Sometimes when we kiss, when we cuddle, when we have sex. If we're always sneaking around, if we're doing so much hiding, if I feel all this guilt, and if the Bible says homosexuality is immoral, doesn't that mean we're wrong? Doesn't it? Kuroo grabbed Kenma by his shoulders. You know I'm not really religious. I don't know what's right and wrong from a sacred book. I know what's right and wrong based on what's in my heart. As long as it isn't hurting anyone, I don't see it as wrong. But isn't it hurting you? Hiding from everyone and everything? You were ready to come out to everyone as soon as we got together. I'm holding you back, and I always have been. You need to be in a relationship that grows, not one that stays still. Kenma, come on. Sure, I wish we were out with our relationship, but you're uncomfortable, and I get that. I can't imagine how scary dating a guy can feel when your religion condemns it. But if it's what happened to your cousin that's making you worry about us, you don't have to. You're an adult, and a very independent one at that. It doesn't matter what your family thinks of you. You don't get to decide that. Kenma stands up, yelling into Kuroo's face. My family is everything to me. Kenma clutches his own chest and squeezes. I can't abandon my family. I can't abandon my faith. So what am I, chopped liver? Kuroo too stood up, looming over Kenma. Am I not something equivalent to family? Kenma, boyfriend or not, I've known you for longer than I haven't at this point. And even if we're hiding, these past 3 years with you have been the best of our relationship. I've told you time and time again, I don't care what others think. You and I are the only ones in this relationship, and those are the only opinions I care about. If you care about my opinion too, then why can't you listen to me? I'm done, Kuroo, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Kenma, please, calm down, think about what you're saying. No, I know what I'm saying. I can't be with a man. Why? Because that's really what you believe, or is it because that's what you think your God would tell you? Kenma covered his face with both of his hands as a broken sob racked his whole body. I wish I never returned your I love you back then. Kenma's heart dropped when he realized what words spilled out of his mouth. He dropped his hands to his sides to look at Kuroo, seeing tears in his eyes. You, what? I didn't mean. No, Kenma, you meant it. We're most truthful when we speak through our anger after all. Even if you didn't mean it as harshly as what came out of your mouth, if you said it just now, it must have crossed your mind that harshly at least a couple of times. Kuroo wiped the tears from his eyes. I thought you had gotten past the worst of your sexuality insecurities. Kuroo scoffed. Guess you just got better at hiding it from me. Kuroo turned away and started walking towards Kenma's door. Don't try to take back anything you said. Don't try to call me. Don't even try to apologize. None of that until you start accepting yourself. Kuroo looked over his shoulder at Kenma with one hand on the doorknob. We'll see which heals faster. Love or time. Goodbye Kenma. With that, Kuroo opened the door, stepped out, and shut it behind him. Kuroo. Kenma sank to the floor, bringing his knees to his chest as he cried out his pain to deaf ears. And if God was listening, he didn't show Kenma any mercy then.